expected to reach more than 210,000 crore rupees by 2032. It's a reflection of how deeply pet ownership is evolving.
So today, modern pet parents are spending on everything. On hypoallergic food to handcrafted leashes, luxurious pet spas, and some of them sound really delicious and indulgent, supplements, and even special first-class travel arrangements. The average cost of a quality harness is between 1,000 to 8,000 rupees. This is a pet leash, remember, we are talking about. While specially formulated dog shampoos can sell up to 2,000 rupees for a bottle. How much are you spending on your hair, by the way? Take a mindful guess at that. A single grooming session at a premium pet salon can cost anywhere from 1,500 to 5,000 rupees, and luxury pet bowls and collars from brands like Tiffany & Co. are said to, cost nearly 10,000 bucks. All of this for our furry friends.
Even in the middle class market, quick commerce platforms are driving demand for affordable pet treats, supplements for dogs, basic wellness services. Some companies even have seen in the last few years a 10% month-on-month growth in volumes. It's seemingly a booming pet economy that's fueled by emotional shifts. You often have late marriages. So when you just take a look at Indian family and Indian society, late marriages, smaller families, and a rising awareness around animal welfare that have led to a greater emphasis on treating your pets like they are the fourth or fifth member of your family. With India still lacking enough pet-friendly spaces, hotels, transport options, responsible ownership, health and safety are all critical conversations that we're going to be touching on today.
All right, and to talk to us a little bit more about that, joining us are two people deeply familiar with the ground realities of pet parenting here in India. We have Cherian MJ with us. He's the founder for Casa Gold Pet Care Academy. A pet care academy, like that sounds like really fab. I want to know everything about it. Akshay Mahindru as well, co-founder of Pet Point and Nuti India. He's also the author of Raising a Happy Dog. So we'll talk to both of them. Let me just take the first question to Cherian. Cherian, have you, like everybody else, felt like there has been a dramatic shift in how we look at pets? Like I said in the opening, I think we've evolved from being pet owners to being pet parents in the country, and all of that happened somehow during the pandemic, and it has stayed. The boom there on pet parenting has stayed.
Yes, I totally agree with you. Although it started way ahead of the pandemic, but it's really spread its wings during the pandemic and more people came into its fold. A lot more people decided to have pets home, and they realized that this is the best time. So yes, the penetration happened during the pandemic, but it's been around for a while. Significant amount of products and services were also coming into the country over the last few years, and it's just boomed further after the pandemic.
Okay.
And it's been primarily a market driven earlier on through retail sales of products, but I think services has really come into the foray right now, and more and more people are spending time in learning better, offering better services and understanding their pets better. So it's not just professional service providers who are spending more time in learning and understanding. It's also individual pet owners who's realized that they can fill a gap in the lives of their pets, and they've all realized that it really takes a village to raise a pet too. So it's a culmination of service providers, veterinarians and pet owners coming together to raise a happy, healthy pet.
Very cool. Okay, so let me just tell our audiences, Cherian, you're joining us live this morning from Bangalore. And I think, Akshay, I just want to tell our audiences, run stores in both Delhi and Chandigarh. So in a sense, we're giving our audiences quite a pan-India picture here. Akshay, Pet Point is a place where people can come and buy dog retail products. Nuti is dog food, I believe, like specific kinds of different dog food products. Akshay, how willing is the Indian consumer to fork over prices? So when you walk into a store and they see, say, a higher price tag on certain products, are people coming in already ready to spend? Do you still see people taken by surprise when it comes to the more expensive goods that you have? What's the audience reaction, the people reaction that you get?
Honestly, when you started, you said, the ownership has transferred to pet care and, pet parenting. That is the kind of transformation we have seen over the last 2 decades. When I started, this was only, pet, ownership, and, pet owners were kind of, sustaining their pets. Now the entire ecosystem is why well can you take care of your pet. Still there's a lot of gap in the education process when it comes to price point. A customer as a pet parents getting involved every day with a lot of research happening, a lot of newer products coming in. They want to have hands-on on the newer products, newer technologies. You mentioned an hypoallergenic food. Nobody knew about an hypoallergenic food a couple of decades ago, but that has been the case in the last 2 decades. People want to get better products. Yes, price can become a factor in that sometimes, because now we are not, after the COVID, the penetration is not just the top of the pyramid in the society. It always happened, and it is mostly happening in the middle of the society. So that is where price sensitivity plus a good product, the kind of combination, that is what we are trying to achieve at Nuti. We are trying to achieve that balance of a good product for your pet, as well as a price point where a pet parent from the middle income or the middle sphere of the pyramid can easily take that product, buy that product without any hesitation.
Got it.
Yes, there are a couple of products which still amaze me. Like a harness of $8,000 getting sold over a pet point store still amazes me, ma'am.
Yeah. Can I ask you to think over a couple of more points which you think are absolutely, I don't want to say ridiculous, but I want to say that you wouldn't have thought of people in India actually buying it. Are there products like that in your store? Akshay may be happy for Cherin also to sort of pitch in and tell me which is perhaps the most obnoxiously priced product for a pet today.
So, in our store, food is something which is the most, in terms of, in terms of price points, food is something which varies from, say, the 100 rupees a kg can go up to about 1,000 rupees a kg. We are selling food more than desi ghee in India, costlier than desi ghee in India. There are foods, I think, which are most expensive. They're very expensive. Hypoallergenic food comes about 1,200 rupees a kg, and there's a huge demand. There are brands coming into India. They want to focus. I would mention a company like Godrej is entering into the pet food market. So food is something people are very fascinating about. They want to try new products, new food for their pets, and food is something which is basically the price point is something which can be very exorbitant depending on the country they're importing from, or ingredients we're putting in. So that is something is still kind of going on in the retail.
1,000 rupees a kg, you're right. It's as expensive as ghee sometimes more. So if you were taking in for a month, depending on your dog size, it could be about 7,000 to 8,000 bucks in a month only on food, not anything else. That's a massive jump. Yeah.
That's just counting food. Dog breeds which require a lot of grooming. You spend a load of money on shampoos, conditioners. We speak about a lot about products, but the services and the service providers, if you really want to get the right quality out of any of these products, they need to know exactly how to use it. And even the pet owners, pet parents, they need to understand the products better to kind of get the best out of these products. So that is something, people find it very easy to go buy a product, but there's no point having the shampoo sitting on your shelf back at home, even though you can say that, it's a lot of money I spend on it. Till you use it, you really don't have the benefits out of it. So education is very important, and people are spending a lot of time and effort into figuring that out and finding the right places to go and learn. And, there's a lot of humanizing the pets, and they realize that, these are ultimately animals who needs to be treated appropriately. We speak about species specific food and a whole lot of that stuff, but even when it comes to handling, it is really important that we kind of handle that right.
Cherin, can we ask you how much, so I want to understand, when people come to you, you specialize in one or two breeds. So the Cocker Spaniel, for example, you've looked into, when you have a Cocker Spaniel, how many generations back that Cocker Spaniel's bloodline, you trace it, you trace where the sisters are, the brothers are across the country. It's very intensive. I want to understand the common Indian buyer when they're coming to you. someone who can afford a luxury dog, how invested are they in this bloodline aspect of it, the purity of the Cocker Spaniel, and do they actually know, what a pure Cocker Spaniel or what a pure breed is? Do they have their science down when they're forking over those large amounts?
Unfortunately, no. But what I've found is people are more open to it. It's something that takes time to learn. But I think the most basic is, every breed that you're trying to get to has a breed standard. It's very clearly defined what is expected of them, both physically and temperamentally. So just a dog that has long ears does not become a Cocker Spaniel. So it has to be everything. And a Cocker Spaniel is defined to be a merry dog, a breed standard that uses the term merry. So that is how happy, and that's the kind of temperament that should describe a Cocker Spaniel. So, I always give the example to people that when you go out to buy an iPhone 16, no one can show you an iPhone 13 or another phone with the sticker of the Apple logo on it and say that, hey, here is your new iPhone 16. People do the research, people do the study. And that too, the expected life of that phone with that individual could be maybe about 2 years or so. Now here you're going to get a pet who's going to be part of your family, who's going to live with you for the next 14, 15 years. And I think there should be a lot of depth into figuring out who is that dog, where is that coming from, and what's the effort that's put into bringing that dog home or raising that dog. So when we speak, all the conversation that we had, it was about expensive products, expensive food, expensive shampoos, expensive services. Now, I would say that, the foundation for all this should be a really well-bred dog, So, and people speak about unethical breeding, and I think it's a lot of the pet owners who are enablers to unethical breeding, because when everything costs so much, a good breeder who wants to really breed a good litter of puppies will not spend all of this money and raise those puppies well if you're not willing to pay for it.
Right. Kiran, I think you're right, and I think you've raised a very important point. I think that's part of the education curve that we're going as a society to understand as well. But, and I must say this as a disclaimer that both Toya and I are pet parents, so completely biased on this story, but which brings me to talk about another very important aspect on why this is happening. I'm not sure if a lot of people have heard of the word or the slogan called DINK. Double income, no kids. Right? There is a new version of that. It's called DINK wards, double income, no kids with a dog. And that entire community is on a massive rise in the country. People are saying, and one of the reasons I feel why the entire adoption of expensive luxury pet care has gone up, because these are people, double income,
who can afford to spend.
Who can afford, and they actually do treat it like their own kid. And I have a spa session, my kid will also go one. In fact, you have to believe me when I say that over the weekend I went up to Khan Market and I saw a pet nanny. There was a person dedicated to taking care of the cat, of the pet, and was roaming around and ensuring that she has like a slurp of the best thing out there. So it's not it's a reality now, and I want to quickly get in a word from Akshay to say, is it really just a Khan Market Delhi phenomena, or are you actually seeing it across even in Chandigarh,
I'm sure
even in smaller towns?
In particular, I'm seeing.
No, so it is evolving. The entire ecosystem is getting involved. When you mentioned about pets being kids, they are being treated just as kids. We have people coming in and buying prams for them. I have a pram at Chandigarh store. We have sold. We used to sell a pram every month. Genuinely. So when you talk about pets being kids, there are families, there are pet parents who are treating them as kids. You cannot. I'm a pet parent. I am a parent of 2 daughters. I understand what it goes through. When you're going out to buy something for your own baby, you don't see the price tag, you don't see the product. If you like it, you buy it. And that is the kind of change we are seeing. We are witnessing over the retail counters in our stores. If a pet parent is genuinely invested in their pets, and the family treats them as their kids, they do not think about what is the usage of the product, what is the use case of that product. They want to buy it, they will buy it. If you mentioned a pet nanny, we had a couple of inquiries for a pet nanny who can take care of your pets when the parents are working are out and working. So this is something which the transition has happened, and it is happening, and I'm sure it will only get more and more without any doubts about it.
Let me ask.
I have a little.
Yeah, please
Sorry,
go ahead.
I have a little more to add on the retail segment of the pet products in India. A lot of this are also significantly more expensive than, let's say, in the US or in the Europe in India, because almost all of these products are being imported from there. So we are spending for shipping, we're spending for customs, we're spending for a lot of those. And initially, a lot of Indian manufacturers never stepped into this zone because the market was not large enough for anybody to make such investments. I think now we have proven beyond doubt that there is a market, there is significant depth in the market. It's both deep and wide. So a lot more manufacturers in India are coming into that foray of bringing products, and we are really good at making these products.
Oh, wow.
We've been white labeling for so many brands all over the world, including pharmaceuticals and nutraceuticals and everything. So it can't be rocket science for Indian brands, Indian manufacturers to come up with really great products backed by science and backed by manufacturing prowess. I think that is happening. That will moderate the pricing for a lot of these things, and I think the cost structure can improve better. At least money spent on shipping, etc., can be saved, and products could be available at a better price for a wider market once we have a lot more manufacturing happening in India.
And hopefully then we can do another Breakfast Club episode on exactly that, because I really think I'm serious, the Indian companies that could potentially come in and build here could be so exciting.
There are some startup stories.
Yeah, I know.
I'll add a couple of things, So
we are, I'm so sorry, we are running out of time, which is, but this is a topic we could all go on for years.
Sure.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for shedding a light on the dog story.
All right, like you said, we are biased, we can go on and on, but let's also talk about what's happening outside our windows and doors at the moment, which is the intense heat. But this summer, we thought we'll bring you some drinks that can actually beat the heat. Sneha's top picks for refreshing summer drinks. Try it out. Let us know how it went.
It's so hot outside, so I'm here to show you how you can beat the heat with these 3 super easy and delicious cooler recipes. So let's begin. First, we're making a shikanji recipe. This is something that you can always keep in your pantry. It's very simple. You add jeera powder, little bit of pepper, some chaat masala, a little bit of salt, some black salt for extra flavor, powdered sugar. If you don't want powdered sugar, you don't have to use this. You can always add honey directly. Now, you just have to close the lid of the jar and give it a really good mix. And your shikanji powder is now ready. You can use it till it's completely over and then refill it and use it again. But now, to serve this, just add a couple of spoons of this powder into a glass. Add some ice cubes, add fresh lemon juice, add some fresh pudina, but ये completely optional है. If you don't have it, you don't need to add this. Finally, top it up with some cold water and give this a good mix. The shikanji is now ready. The second cooler is a cucumber cooler, which is super easy to make. All we have to do is cut up our cucumber. Make sure it's not bitter. Add this to a mixer with some fresh mint leaves. Again, if you don't have mint leaves, you can completely skip this. You can also add some tulsi to this, honestly. It'll taste really good. Add some sugar. Add some water. Now, all that's left to do is blitz it all up. You can also add a little bit of jeera or chaat masala or even black salt to this if you like. Now that this is done, all that's left to do is strain it. Add some ice cubes and some sabja or chia seeds. Make sure to bloom it for about 5 to 10 minutes before you add it to your drink. Top it up with lots of fresh mint. Your cucumber cooler is also ready. For the final cooler recipe, I've got this super cool trick to make ganne ka juice or sugarcane juice without actual ganna or sugarcane. And it's so easy. I'm definitely sure you're going to try this out. All you have to do is add jaggery powder along with fresh lemon juice and some fresh pudina along with water. Now just blitz this all up and your ganne ka juice is ready. As simple as that. Now your ganne ka juice is ready without the ganna. Serve this chilled with lots of ice. And make sure to try these recipes at home today.
All right, let's move on now to stories that are taking place in India and across the world.
All right, Pakistan Volleyball Federation on Sunday said that India has withdrawn their contingent from the next month's Central Asian Volleyball Tournament in Islamabad. The PVF official, Abdul Ahad, said that India had confirmed sending a 30-member squad, including 22 players of the championship, starting May 28th at the Jinnah complex, following the 22nd April terror attack in Pahalgam, where 26 tourists were killed. Remember, diplomatic tensions have grown between the two nations, prompting India to skip the Central Asian Volleyball Tournament.
And Mumbai Indians securing a commanding 54-run victory over the LSG Lucknow Super Giants in the IPL clash. All of this taking place at the Wankhede Stadium. Ryan Rickelton's brilliant knock, Jasprit Bumrah's fiery 4-wicket spell stole the show, with Trent Boult and Will Jacks adding to the carnage. Despite LG's promising start in their chase of 216, consistent wickets halted their momentum. This marks MI's 5th consecutive win.
In a thrilling IPL clash, Royal Challengers Bengaluru secured a 6-wicket win over Delhi Capitals thanks to a stellar performance from Krunal Pandya, and he smashed 73 of 47 balls, and Virat Kohli contributing to a steady 51 of 47. Chasing 163, RCB faced early trouble with the Pandya-Kohli partnership turned the game around. This marks RCB's 6th away victory this season, cementing their impressive form on the road. Now, Mrs. Neeta Ambani emphasizes on the importance of sports as well as education for the future generation at the Reliance Foundation Education and Sports for All match in Mumbai.
19,000 underprivileged children got the opportunity of a lifetime to watch the Mumbai Indians defeat LSG in the IPL. Take a look.
Over the years, I've been in many interesting places, but few more than this. Look where we are in the middle of everybody. And I'm delighted that someone I've known over the years and I've admired over the years for what she puts together. Neeta Ambani is here as well. You've made this a tradition over all these years, and I can see what it means to you.
You know, this is not just a match. It is a celebration of hope, of dreams, and of joy. It is MI's favorite match day for the entire season. I mean, just look at the atmosphere. 19,000 children, all of them coming from underprivileged backgrounds, some of them specially abled. For most of them, this is their first time in a stadium to see a live match. So it's really so overwhelming here to see how the children are enjoying themselves. Also for them, many of these boys that play for Mumbai Indians and for India come from very humble backgrounds. So this is also an inspiration for them that they can dream and can be whatever they dream to be.
Now, you've been out meeting some of the NGOs today as well, the places from where all these children are coming here.
Yes, I have. And it's been quite fascinating. One of the little girls there says she wants to become Bumrah.
Yeah.
And I think one boy right down when I was there says he just wants to shake hands with Rohit Sharma. So can you just imagine if their hopes and aspirations can be fulfilled, they can reach the stars.
One more question for you before we finish. What are your personal ambitions for all these people who are coming here to watch a game today?
You know, at the heart of ESA is education and sports for all. I think children learn as much in a classroom as in a sports field. And I think today is a day of dreams and hopes. Maybe one of them can become a Harmanpreet, someone can become Rohit Sharma, or someone can become an anchor like you, Harsha.
Thanks.
So this is to tell parents also, let the children make their choices. And with support and with help, all children can reach the stars.
It's quite an exercise. It's what, 20,000 people today?
19,000 children with so many supervisors, 500 buses, and maybe 1 lakh meals. I think many of them also come here saying we love the delicious food. So there's a lot of joy that they're taking home from here.
And may it long continue that way. I look forward to this game too, because you know our cameras keep cutting to close-ups of the little children, and the joy just tells a story. So may it long continue. Wish you lots more strength.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Harsha. This match means a lot and is very, very dear to me.
All right, moving on. The Godfather director Francis Ford Coppola received the AFI Life Achievement Award at a star-studded ceremony that took place at the Dolby Theatre. The event brought together Hollywood's legends, including Steven Spielberg. They called The Godfather the greatest American film ever made. Robert De Niro joking about being cast in the sequel, not the original, while Harrison Ford became emotional, reflecting on his role in Coppola's The Conversation back in 1974. You can see 3 cinema greats on your screen right now. Coppola is a founding trustee of AFI. He was honoured in what felt like a full circle moment for the director of Apocalypse Now.
Crowds of Catholic faithful gathered in the Buenos Aires to bid farewell to Pope Francis as his farewell and his funeral was held in the Vatican. An Argentinian military vehicle carrying a large portrait of Francis marked the beginning of the massive gathering in the iconic Plaza de Mayo in front of Buenos Aires Cathedral. Hundreds took part in the vigil and mass in the Argentinian capital. The ceremony was attended by 300 priests from across Argentina.
All right, coming up after the break, how one man in Canada is changing lives in rural India. He's fighting poverty from half a world away. We sit down with a Canada-based doctor whose quest to uplift rural India over the last few decades has changed thousands of lives.
जियो होम लगा।
Adil Hussain Thokar has emerged as the key local conduit for the Pahalgam terrorists. Once a student who graduated from the Anantnag Degree College, he also went to IGNOU to complete further education, but it looks like he subsequently crossed over to Pakistan with valid visa documents and then joined the Lashkar-e-Toiba training camp. His family says that they have not met him for years now. However, agencies believe that since 2024, Adil Hussain has been very, very active with the terrorist circuit. The allegation against him is that it was he who carried out the recce of the Pahalgam attack spot. It was he who was given the task of helping the Pakistani terrorists, the foreign terrorists, and perhaps in all likelihood he was one of the 2 local terrorists who were present at the spot as the attack unfolded. As per NIA's preliminary investigation, 2 local terrorists were hiding behind the shopkeepers and they started shooting first. Was Adil one of them is the key question. His house has been demolished in Anantnag. His family was moved out by the Indian Army before the demolition began, post which a complete sweep of the premises was carried out to see if there were any other explosives hidden there. And Adil became one of the first terrorists who faced such an action. Subsequently, at least 5 or 6 such houses were brought down in Shopia, in Kulgam, in Pulwama, in Tral as well. So the message that is being sent to those like Adil Hussain Thokar is that even if you have escaped and if you continue to be a terror supporter or a terrorist yourself, your family will pay. The family members of Adil Hussain have said that he must surrender, that they have no contact with him. They have appealed to the security grid that if they have solid proof, then Adil must be punished. But they have also appealed to Adil that he must surrender so the family can live in peace.
And we have Arunima joining us on this broadcast. Arunima, do tell us that since we know that these terrorists were trained in Pakistan, how do these terrorists travel so easily and come back to Kashmir?
Infiltration is something that we've reported often. The line of control has several points where the LOC is breached and these terrorists manage to come back. There are launch pads in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Covering fire is given by Pakistani army when this infiltration happens. And even though the Indian army at the LOC and the BSF at the international border take various measures to stop infiltration, the fact is that even at this point, a rough estimate suggests that about 100 plus foreign terrorists could still be in the valley, and most of them have come from Pakistan recently.
All right. Arunima, do also tell us.
All right, welcome back. It's now time for our person of interest. Everything from running urgent food to blanket drives to building mental health support systems in rural India. Dr. Shivendra Dwivedi's journey is rooted in action, not slogans. Based in Canada, he founded the Freedom from Poverty Foundation in 2019 with a sharp focus on ground realities in Lucknow.
Now, his work reflects a commitment to addressing immediate needs and steadily pushing towards long-term resilience as well and dignity for underprivileged communities. Dr. Dwivedi now joins us to talk about the path he's carving and why the fight against poverty needs to go far beyond just survival. Good morning. Thank you so much for speaking with us. My first question really, what sparked your decision to launch a Freedom from Poverty Foundation all the way from Canada? And was there a specific moment or experience that pushed you into this action?
Sure. So in 1991, I did my first medical camp in the village organized by my father. That experience of seeing patients in India and then helping to treat them, giving them free medications was the spark that really ignited my interest as a physician to help people in India. My father and I started this foundation back in 1993 to try to provide people in the village areas access to education and healthcare.
Okay, so this is a decades-long initiative, but we do want to talk about everything you did during COVID-19 in particular. What did you see on the ground that made you realize that these efforts were very, very urgently needed?
Well, you know, during COVID, it was a really horrible crisis, and we could see the effects on basically the people in India because there was no work. And because there was no work, we actually provided packets of food to laborers who were coming back to the villages in Uttar Pradesh from Mumbai and Delhi and Kolkata and whatever, and blankets because it was very cold. If you provide food and blankets, that cuts down on the problems of catching colds and getting sick. So that's what inspired us to do that. And we could see the need on the ground. And that was why we responded in that way. We also had a very large poster campaign to educate people of how to protect themselves. And that was worked on by our team in Lucknow, our Freedom from Poverty Trust, headed by our Vice President, Hemant Dixit ji there. And there was a lot of very positive feedback. And our poster was actually chosen by the Prime Minister's Health Committee as a poster that was used all over India in many different languages, all over the states.
That's quite lovely. But Dr. Trivedi, I'm curious to understand, why did you choose Lucknow specifically as the focus of your efforts? Is there a personal connection there?
Absolutely, it's because I was born in Uttar Pradesh, in the village of Anandpur Baria, which is at the border of Azamgarh and Faizabad. That's where my family is from, and my father was very active in India for many years after his retirement in 1998 from Concordia University. So we ran a charity school. We did our medical camps, and it's very, the kinship that I feel with the people in Uttar Pradesh around Lucknow. I mean, my mother tongue actually is Bhojpuri, right? And so that kinship is what drives us as a foundation to help the people in Uttar Pradesh around Lucknow.
Your name, the organization's name, Freedom from Poverty, it's powerful, and it does raise the question, beyond food, beyond shelter, what does freedom from poverty look like to you?
So this is that's a very interesting question. Thank you for it. My father and I have felt for many years, the 3 decades we've been working, is look, you don't need to tell people how to get out of poverty, okay? People will find their own ways out of poverty. But to do that, they need 2 things. One is an education, which opens the world of opportunities to them. And the second thing is they need their health to be able to use the knowledge that they gain from the education that they've received to get out of poverty. We feel as a foundation, there's too many people who are doing haphazard methods. In the sense, you know what, we're trying to teach people how to fish. We're not giving them the fish. We're teaching them how to fish. And that's done through education. But if you're not healthy and you can't get down to the river, how are you going to fish? So this is why we've always said the freedom from poverty can only come through access to education and access to healthcare. So if the person who is in need has these 2 things, they will make their own way out of poverty.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, we also hear that you're now moving towards mental health support in rural India, a space that is often ignored. What kind of gaps are you seeing in awareness and access in those parts?
Now, this is a huge problem. Your viewers may or may not be aware that 2 to 10 students in India commit suicide every hour. So when I read that statistic, we embarked on an ambitious program to help this issue, because depression and mental illness is very much stigmatized in India and around the world, not just India. And the problem is we don't accept that depression is a disease. You know, we say in India, oh, aadmi pagal hai. Well, wo pagal nahi hai. He's mentally ill. He has an illness. And just as we treat cancer, heart disease, diabetes with pills and medication, we need to treat and understand that this also is a disease and it needs treatment. So the way we are trying to tackle this problem with our partners, Mansik Shakti Foundation, led by Professor Amresh Srivastava, we have worked on an app, and that app can be downloaded to your phone, and in medical it does psychometric testing, and it's in India already. It's working in about 10 states, and the idea is that colleges and universities can take a subscription to that program, and then the student, their families, their friends can download the app, answer some questions, and get an idea of what's needed, and should they be looking for therapy or not.
I do want to ask then, Doctor, the perception, because you talked about it a little earlier, the stigma that does exist in India around mental health. In the last few years, have you seen there be a shift there at all? Is there still resistance? What do you see?
There's a lot of resistance. There's a lot of resistance, and and that's to be expected, right? Because we don't talk about mental health in India, also not even in Canada. It's ignored because people don't want to face this problem, because it might be in their family, it might be in their friends and whatnot, and there's so much stigma around it, right? And I'll give you a personal situation that I came across. There was, in India, this family was looking to marry off or to have a proposal for their son. Well, the brother had an episode of depression and had committed suicide. Well, anybody who went towards the village, they say, well, why would you marry your daughter to that family? They have a history of wo pagal ke parivar hai. So wo beta bhi pagal ho sakta hai unka. Why would you do that? But it doesn't mean that his brother is mentally ill, right? I mean, they had a suicide death in their family, but now the whole family is stigmatized. So what happens when somebody has a history of depression and something? In the Indians, we hide it. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to bring the person to be treated, because then the news will get out, and then the whole family will be considered as a family of people who are pagal, not ill, but which can be treated, but it's just hidden, and that's a very hard stigma to remove. I must say we have our challenges in this, but someone has to do it, and we would like to at least do our part in helping out here.
Yeah. Dr. Dwivedi, thank you for sharing that and reflecting on all your learnings, but you seem to be the man with lots of stories. So before we end, can we ask you to perhaps look back at a story or a moment from your field work that deeply moved you, changed how you see your own role in this mission?
Okay, that's a very nice question. Thank you. I will tell you something. We do a lot of club feet surgery. Now, for your viewers, club feet is when a baby is born and both feet are very crooked. So that child cannot stand up, never mind walk. And in 2016, we brought our team. We did a little child who was about 2.5 3 years old. We fixed both his feet. In 2017, when I went back to the camp in the same area, the parents brought their child, and the child was running. And I didn't speak the language, but they just grabbed my legs and they were crying. Dr. Dwivedi, thank you so much for changing our child's life and our life.
That's sweet.
And that really touched me, and it touched my team members, because that's what we can do by changing. And I tell everyone, in medicine, you change one life at a time. But that one life that you change, the impact is not just for the patient, it's for his whole family.
How beautiful.
Quite lovely.
Yeah.
Incredible work that you're doing, Dr. Dwivedi. Thank you so much for speaking with us and sharing all your insights. Here's hoping more and more people take inspiration, come forward and do their bit, right?
Right. This is someone managing to run it from Canada. So
Yeah.
if he can do it, we can all do it. That was incredible. All right. He's someone who changed people's lives over the last few years. And his story, how he built it, is so inspiring. We're going to take you now from this to something entirely different. Let's take you now to the roads. Does the 2025 Skoda Kodiaq justify its luxury tag? That's what we're going to be taking a look at on the roads today. This is a car that brings with it sleek styling, feature-packed cabins. There's a powerful engine and there is refined ride quality. But with all of that, is this car actually making the cut? That's what Overdrive is bringing you. They put it through the paces.
And above all of that, is it really worth the price tag of 46.89 lakh? Well, Is it really worth all that money? You can watch this overdrive review to find out more, make up your mind, spend that cash if you feel like.
Now the new generation Kodiaq has taken quite a while to come to India. In fact, it's taken so much time that we're having to drive it in the middle of the night in, yes, what I must admit is one of the plusher bits of Mumbai. But that's only fair because this is one of the plusher cars that you can buy in India without having to shell out premium car money. So does that sense grow with the new version? What exactly is different with it? Let's find out tonight. While it's still recognizable as a Kodiaq, this new version is more extroverted. The wider grille with the studded light bar in this L and K version sets it apart in this trend. The tiered lighting is also more pronounced, and while driving at night is about as effective as you might need it to be in a car. The bodywork is more pronounced, but the drag coefficient has dropped from 0.33 to 0.28, about as much as many high-end EVs. The only change dimensionally is that the Kodiaq is 59mm longer, and this shows in profile. There's a long flat look to it now, but a neat element is the kink under the contrasting D-pillar. The 18-inch aero-style wheels remain unchanged in size but are still proportionate, although we prefer the more traditional alloy wheel design available on the Sportline. Ground clearance is rated at 155mm. The rear again follows the Kodiaq theme but is brightened up with a more raked windscreen. The Skoda's C-shaped lighting has evolved to become more prominent, but you don't get a full-width setup like in many rivals. Now from the outside, the new Kodiaq does look a bit more upmarket, but really it's on the inside where there's been a massive change in how you look at this car. I mean, it's genuinely taken a few steps up in terms of how premium it feels here. And it's really bordering on luxury car territory, at least at first glance. And now that is a big statement, and I say that because of the materials. Now everything that you look at here is soft. This plastic on top, this leather finish on this L&K version, all the brown bits that you see are all leather, and even on the doors that's leather. And you have this nice graining woodish kind of finish. It's not real wood, but feels a lot like real wood, and this ambient lighting is also quite neatly highlighted. Now there are some bits that I would have liked to be a bit nicer. For example, these plastics in the lower half, I mean, I guess they could have been of a slightly nicer grade, and some of the controls like these AC vents or these dials, which I'll get to later, maybe they could have been slightly heftier. The MQB Evo allows for a more modern electronic architecture, so you now have a new 13-inch touchscreen and a 10.25-inch driver's display. The touchscreen has seamless wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay pairing, as well as inbuilt navigation. It's responsive too, but we do wish it had a more intuitive user interface. It needs quite a few swipes and taps to get to some functions. The driver's display offers more information now, but again, configuring it is not as straightforward as it could be. But really one of the smarter touches that have been included in this car, and one that I'm sure will be a talking point for whenever you carry around friends or colleagues in this car, will be the smart dials. Now, we keep going on and on about how touchscreens are ruining interfaces in cars, and this seems like a great solution. Now, what these are rotary controls at first glance, yes, but they also double up with a lot of functions. Now, as you can see, I can change the climate with these rotaries on each side, but if I press that, then I can control the seat heating or the seat ventilation. Same for this side here. And the middle one, I can choose between the fan speed, the volume, or the drive modes. Now I can further configure these to include a few other things, but what that effectively means that a lot of these controls, which would have otherwise nowadays been buried into the menu and be quite difficult to use, are now much easier to get access to. With the new Skodas now moving to a column-mounted shifter, there's an open feel to the cabin of the Kodiaq, even though space hasn't increased from the last version. The central tunnel is now well utilized with large spaces for cups, small layered cubbies, a deep storage bin and 2 wireless chargers. There's more good storage apart from this in the 2 glove boxes and large door pockets. Now with the last gen Kodiaq, what you got in the back seat was a ton of practicality and luxury as well, and to be honest that hasn't really changed because the car itself in terms of space hasn't changed, but it has been uplifted to an extent. While I say that, one thing I don't quite like is the materials here. Now they are of a lesser grade than what's in the front. There's no soft padding here, and the door bins, they don't have that felt lining, but I still get the nice ambient lighting and this kind of wood finish. Of course, I have the sunshades, which you can't really miss nowadays, and a big panoramic sunroof. Now, like I mentioned, coming to the space, not much has changed from the last gen model. So for me, for my height, I have a lot of space under the front seat to tuck my feet in. Quite a bit of headroom, I must say. Although if you are 6 feet tall, then the edge might slightly brush. But otherwise, it gives you a slightly more open feel from earlier. Maybe it's because of how the body is. It's probably become a bit more square. I don't know what it is. But anyway, it's still spacious in that sense. Now, coming to the seat itself, it's quite comfortable like it always was. I have a good deal of thigh support, which is a bit of a rarity, I must say, in 3-row SUVs, but it's here. The cushioning is typically Skoda VW, so for the seat back. So I have these contours here, which means I'm held in place. So even if the car's moving around a little bit, I'll still be held in place, which is nice. I also have a good reclining function. So if I want to just sit back, I can do that as well. And then of course I have the center armrest. Now just like before, there's that 3-zone climate control. So I have my own climate zone here. 2 Type-C chargers, a 12-volt outlet, these AC vents. But now I think Skoda has been a bit smart, because previously we've always complained of how intrusive this central tunnel becomes in the second row of these all-wheel drive cars. So what Skoda has done is pretty smart. Of course, now I have my bottle holder here and a few more shelves to put my stuff. But I can also completely remove this. It's one of those simply clever features that Skoda keeps talking about, and it's genuinely quite clever, I must say. Speaking of these simply clever features, I also get this device holder here, which I can adjust. This phone holder here, which you've seen in cars like the Kodiaq as well. And how can I forget those really neat door protectors. As before, the Kodiaq is generously equipped. Here are all the features on offer. You still have 9 airbags, but with the center airbag replacing the driver's knee airbag. The Kodiaq has a 5-star Euro NCAP rating, but ADAS isn't available on the India spec car. You do get a set of 360-degree cameras with a built-in emergency braking function, but it's a basic system, and we also wish the camera feed was of a better quality.
Alright, next we bring you a special segment on the financial markets powered by Money Control Pro, Money Control's premium destination for investing and business insights. Let's start with how markets are pegged to open this Monday morning. GIFT Nifty suggests that Indian markets are likely to open higher. US indices closed higher on Friday, with the benchmark gaining. In Asia, while Japanese markets are trading higher today, China and Hong Kong are witnessing selling pressure. Gold and crude oil futures are trading marginally lower than their previous close.
All right, let's take a look at sectors. EV sales in India have witnessed strong growth, particularly after the pandemic. This was driven by rising consumer awareness, supportive government policies, and an expanding range of EV offerings. The entry of new age, non-traditional OEMs further accelerated that momentum, but growth began to moderate in 2025 following the gradual reduction of the FAME subsidy support. Is there a potential for growth to go higher? What are the issues in this sector? These are all the key questions, and you can log into Money Control Pro to find out more about this sector and other actionable insights on the market. It's the premier destination for all investing views and financial insights that you'll ever need, brought to you by Money Control.
All right, on that note, a very quick break. We'll be back with the video of the day.
Adil Hussain Thokar has emerged as the key local conduit for the Pahalgam terrorists. Once a student who graduated from the Anantnag Degree College, he also went to IGNOU to complete further education, but it looks like he subsequently crossed over to Pakistan with valid visa documents and then joined the Lashkar-e-Toiba training camp. His family says that they have not met him for years now. However, agencies believe that since 2024, Adil Hussain has been very active with the terrorist circuit. The allegation against him is that it was he who carried out the recce of the Pahalgam attack spot. It was he who was given the task of helping the Pakistani terrorists, the foreign terrorists, and perhaps in all likelihood he was one of the 2 local terrorists who were present at the spot as the attack unfolded. As per NIA's preliminary investigation, 2 local terrorists were hiding behind the shopkeepers and they started shooting first. Was Adil one of them is the key question. His house has been demolished in Anantnag. His family was moved out by the Indian Army. before the demolition began, post which a complete sweep of the premises was carried out to see if there were any other explosives hidden there. And Adil became one of the first terrorists who faced such an action. Subsequently, at least 5 or 6 such houses were brought down in Shopia, in Kulgam, in Pulwama.
Welcome back, and it's time we take you through our video of the day. Time magazine held its 19th annual Time 100 Gala in New York on Thursday, and celebrating Time's list of the world's most influential people, hosted by rapper and the Time 100 cover star Snoop Dogg, who walked the red carpet with his son. And the event also featured musical performances by Ed Sheeran, Miles Smith, and they were both honored as well.
Right, other honorees included actor Demi Moore, who's fresh off the very successful run of The Substance. You're also looking on your screens right now at Blake Lively and of course her husband Ryan Reynolds. There was Diego Luna, athlete Serena Williams and Jalen Hurts. Now also present there is journalist Gayle King. We're not showing her right now. She made history, remember, recently as part of an all-female crew that went to space. She said she didn't want to think about all the backlash following some of the comments that came in from people online about that space flight.
Yeah, I'm sure. Why would she? It was such a risk anyways to first go and then come back. But the gala also, back to that now, the gala also saw the presentation of the Time 100 Impact Award to Simone Biles. Now, recognizing her legacy of achievement, and the award was presented by Kristen Bell. So that's there, Snoop Dogg and his son on the red carpet at the Time magazine. We leave you with these pictures and we'll see you again tomorrow for another episode. Until then, tata, bye-bye.
Right here, right here.
लाल रंग इसका
Adil Hussain Thokar has emerged as the key local conduit for the Pahalgam terrorists. Once a student who graduated from the Anantnag Degree College, he also went to IGNOU to complete further education, but it looks like he subsequently crossed over to Pakistan with valid visa documents and then joined the Lashkar-e-Toiba training camp. His family says that they have not met him for years now. However, agencies believe that since 2024, Adil Hussain has been very, very active with the terrorist circuit. The allegation against him is that it was he who carried out the recce of the